chronology, list of authors with their texts, sequence of events, and most importantly, dates and years of publication of texts. In addition, with linguistics, cultural studies, and literary theory. What are these? These are nothing but the most important topics that can appear as significant questions in the upcoming WBSET Paper 2 and UGC NET Paper 2's examination. Today, on the 8th of December 2024, you have only 1 week left for the WBSET exam and only 3 or 3.5 weeks left for the UGC NET's exam, which is scheduled in the month of January. At this juncture, it is most important for you to know what type of questions should you prepare in order to ace the Paper 2 exam. So, this video is exactly for those of you who asked and voted on my Instagram, WhatsApp and Facebook polls where I asked what my next video should be on. And many of you mentioned that you would like to know some last minute tips on how to prepare for the UGC NET Paper 2 and WBSET Paper 2 English examination. Well, as I have already mentioned in my Paper 1's video, which was published last week on Sunday. If you have not watched it, I'll put a link somewhere upwards. You can go ahead and check that one out. But in case you have already watched that, it's now your time to watch this video for Paper 2. Now, as most of you already know, there is no hard-bound syllabus for Paper 2. If you look up on the UGC NET's website, you will see that they say prose, poetry, drama, fiction, English language teaching and many other things. Just when you say prose, poetry, drama and fiction and literary criticism and literary theory, it basically includes everything under the sun. All these books that I have in my shelf, I have many others in my other room. If you want me to do a detailed video on the books that I have on my bookshelf, please mention the word bookshelf in the comments down below and I will make a detailed video on the books that I have in my bookshelf and why I think they helped me achieve the goal of clearing NET. What I am trying to say is that even if you read all these books and if you read all the books that I generally provide as study material when I teach UGC NET, even if you read all of them and memorize everything that's there, there is no guarantee. Actually, there is a reverse guarantee that you won't get 100 questions common. You will get definitely 70-75 questions common and you will definitely crack NET with a JRF if you read all the books that I generally suggest. If you are interested to know more about this, then I would inform you that my next batch for UGC NET is going to start from the month of February 2025 and that is targeted for June and December 2025's NET exam and WBSET's 2025 December exam. If you have not attempted NET yet or have attempted it only once or twice and are not very confident about clearing it in December 2025 either, you should inform me and text me on my number, which will be given down in the description box and in the top pinned comment. You can ping me on WhatsApp and I will share all the course details with you. Since I am already on that topic, let me tell you a little bit about the course. The course has 16 classes with 4 mock test papers. These mock test papers have been prepared by me and these 4 mock test papers are not only for Paper 2 but there are 4 different mock test papers for Paper 1 as well. And recently I launched an initiative where I was sharing these mock test papers with interested candidates for a very minimal price. And if you want to know more about this particular aspect, you will find more details in the description box and I'll also share some sample questions with you at the end of this video. So if you are interested to know about some interesting sample questions which I have prepared for myself, and I also make my students prepare dedicated questions for Paper 2. I'm sure many of my existing or past students are also watching this video. It would mean a great deal to me if you could share in the comments your experience about taking classes from me as a UGC NET aspirant. And I hope after seeing your comments, many people will again come ahead and reach out to me to mentioned that they are also preparing for the same exam and they would like to help me tutor them. So in the 16 classes, 4 classes are allotted separately for the test papers. Except these 4 papers, I also have a dedicated class where I take up each individual student, and this class is generally held at the end, where I take up each individual student dedicatedly and I ask them what problems they are facing in paper 1 and paper 2, and I solve them one by one, generally within the span of the class. And even if it doesn't fit the class's pre-scheduled time slot, then I solve it after the class when they text me separately on WhatsApp. Now, let me share with you the detailed schedule of my NET class. Now, why am I sharing this? Because the topics that I have decided as dedicated class topics, these are the ones that you should focus on while preparing for NET. I'm looking at my laptop down below. Don't think I'm moving my eyesight from you, because I have not memorized my class schedule as of yet, because there is no need to memorize it. I have everything down in my favorite old laptop. So, the first class is a history of English literature, where I give you a summary about what kind of classes you can expect while you are doing a history of English literature, why there are periodizations. This is a very important topic, by the way. Why there are periodizations, who decides when Romantic period will end, who decides when modern period will begin, who decides the gap between modernism and postmodernism, who decides when the Renaissance will begin. Obviously, there is no points for guessing who decides when the Elizabethan and the Victorian periods will end. Anyway, these are the things that I teach. Who writes the histories of English literature? Why are books like Routledge and Michael Alexander important? These are the things that I teach. Then I have a dedicated class for modernism. I teach the difference between modernism, modernity, and the modern age. These differences are crucial because there are many cases where they ask you exactly the difference between these three. Not exactly in these terms, but if your concept is clear, then you will face a point where these questions will become easy to you. When they ask you questions about passages, they give you excerpts, they ask you which line is written by which author. If these concepts are clear to you, then there is nothing that can stop you from clearing this exam. And then I have the first trial paper. After that, I have a dedicated class on postmodernism, where I don't just talk about postmodernism, I talk about the differences between postmodernism as 2 separate words, postmodernism as a single word, postmodernism as 2 separate words with modernism's M in lowercase with M as uppercase. What does the word post in postmodernism mean? What are the different literary movements that are mentioned in postmodernism and things like that. After this comes my USP, which I won't be sharing in detail in this video, but I'll mention that I do teach answering techniques about how to get right the answers of questions about which you have no clue. After that comes one of the most important topics. I'll share a very quick scrolled up version of my chronology Excel sheet which me and my students have prepared for the last 3 years. And this is an Excel sheet which mainly my students, especially it was the idea of one of my very old students, Rangon Zaman, who gave me the idea that we can put every data that we collect in an Excel sheet, and this will help us prepare for the UGC NET exam when it arrives. I will not be sharing this Excel sheet obviously with you, because it belongs to my students and only those who subscribe to my classes will get access to it. And there is also a catch. I give you a homework at the very beginning of the course. Only if you contribute to the Excel sheet to a substantial amount, only then you get access to it. You don't get access to it because people have made extreme efforts to make this Excel sheet a work of art. After that, I have my second trial paper where again you give an exam. After that, I teach you about Indian literature. Why Indian English literature was born, how was it born, what are the different stages of development. Here I mention M.K. Nayak's stellar book and why we must read it. And then you have a topic called European literature, where I ask a very important question. Is it possible to homogenize the literature of an entire continent using just one terminology, especially when there are so many different languages, cultures, societies, and different customs involved? And is it at all possible to categorize them under one umbrella term? And if you clear these concepts in your head, then you will find that you have no problems in answering any questions that are being asked of you. After that, since In the recent years, there are many questions in research methodology in English. I teach about the different types of research methodology. I recently did my coursework of PhD at the Department of Comparative Indian Language and Literature, University of Calcutta, where my brilliant professors taught me a great deal about research methodology. I use the teachings that they have delivered and I share them with my students in turn, helping them understand what are the various methods of practicing research methodologies. And I also use this book by Gabriel Griffin, the link to which I'll provide down in the description, so you can download it from there. And then you have another trial paper. The next class, where I analyze the homework which have been submitted by all of my different students, and I help them prepare more properly for the upcoming NET exam. This is where I'll give you a tip, last minute tip. If you have time, dedicate it to creating 50 MCQs per day. And if you create 50 MCQs per day and then you join my batch in the upcoming session from February, then you won't find the homework tough at all. And finally, I take up a class on American literature, where I dedicatedly tell you about the various movements in American literature, what is the contribution of people like Ralph Waldo Emerson, Walt Whitman, Edgar Allan Poe, Emily Dickinson, and many others. And then I do the personal doubt solving, and finally I give you the last mock trial paper with which the course ends. All of these are your suggestions for and last minute tips for paper 2, which you should focus on. And if you prepare 50 MCQs per day for the next upcoming paper, then you will be good to go. So that was it from my side today. If you have any questions and if you want to join my batch, please don't hesitate to comment down below or reach out to me on WhatsApp. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, hasta la vista.